Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a splendid little boxlet that I was looking at. It was splendid. It has its ups and downs, but I mean, it's mostly pretty splendid, and it's interesting. Sawallisch in Prague. Now, the reason I was listening to this most recently, I mean, it's been out for a while, is because Sawallisch boxes are coming. So many Sawallisch boxes. I just talked about the Decca Sawallisch box, which has his Phillips recordings, basically. And then this showed up, which we'll be talking about soon, his Warner recordings, which is bigger than his Decca box and has all kinds of stuff, but no operas. The operas, I think, are coming separately in yet another box. And so, this is an example of how sometimes less is more, because instead of 60 some odd CDs or 40 some odd CDs, this only has 5. And it consists of live recordings that he gave, and were recorded by Czech radio mostly, with the Czech Philharmonic, which is always a good orchestra to have with you, and the Czech Philharmonic Chorus, which is a splendid chorus. And it offers a really good overview of Sawallisch's basic repertoire, the German stuff and the not as German stuff. He always had a bit of an affinity for Czech music. He made beautiful Dvořák recordings, and Martinu's Fourth Symphony, which is in here, was also one of his sort of signature off the beaten path pieces. He recorded it with the Philadelphia Orchestra in one of those Philadelphia Orchestra boxes. So, there's stuff that he had some real feeling for. And he made some beautiful recordings for Supraphon. He also did, remember, Dvořák's Stabat Mater and Requiem. Those are not in here because those are studio recordings. So, he seemed to have a congenial time when he was in the Czech capital. And these are all live recordings. And so you get to hear the fact that, yes, like so many other artists, he was a little bit better when he was live than he sometimes was in the studio. Here we go. You ready? We start with Mozart, Jupiter Symphony, and Symphony number 40 in G minor, and the Adagio in E major for violin and orchestra, played by Josef Suk. I mean, what could be bad? And wow, this is a surprise. The Mozart G minor is a really fiery performance. Very exciting and swift and marvelously played. And the Jupiter is more conventional, but they're very, very good. And it's always nice to hear the Czech Philharmonic do this stuff. The sonics are generally fine. And so, we're in pretty good shape. I mean, everything is in stereo. I'm just trying to see if I could find dates here. They have dates for individual concerts in the booklet, but we don't have to go into it. But everything's okay. Then Beethoven, Symphonies 1 and 6. This will come as a surprise for those of you who heard his Concerto about Beethoven recording, his cycle, and we're just like, oh, it was so boring. Oh, my goodness, totally uninteresting. Well, these are better. They're livelier. They have more character. I mean, that's saying that about, the conducting has more character. I mean, the Concertgebouw has tons of character. But so does the Czech Philharmonic, so that's nice to have. Then we've got Mendelssohn's Lobgesang, number 2, the one that everyone sort of runs away from screaming because they think it's dull, but it really isn't. I mean, if you actually listen to it, it's really pretty thrilling. It's a gorgeous work, full of captivating tunes and wonderful choral moments. Mendelssohn was a quick composer. Even when he's slow, he's quick. So nothing outlasts its welcome. And it's a lovely performance with some really fine choral singing. So that's nice to have it. Sawallisch was a very good Mendelssohn conductor. I mean, he did a good Mendelssohn cycle in that over there, the Decca box, which we talked about a few weeks ago. And then we've got, Janáček and Martinů, the Glagolitic Mass. I'm a Glagolitic Mass collector. I mean, I just think it's like the coolest piece of choral music ever. And so if you like it, you'll want to hear this. It's not my favorite performance. I think the Gloria is a little bit soggy, and there are some ragged moments, and the soprano's nothing to write home about. Who is she? Let me see if I can figure out who she was. Annabella Bernard, is that who's singing? Or it could be somebody else. Or it could be Jana Jantsova, Renata Ronke, Reinecke, something. Good Lord, Renata or Frank Reinecke. Whatever. There's a soprano in here who's not thrilling. Oh, here's the Glagolitic Mass. Yes, it is Annabella Bernard. The alto is Vera Sukupova, who's like everywhere. She's like the famous, and Ivo Žitek, tenor, and Jindřich Jindrak, baritone. I mean, it's good Czech soloists. And the chorus, of course, is splendid. I do, the sound could be more vivid. It's a live recording, and Sawallisch could be perkier in a couple of places. There is a tendency for non-Czech conductors when they play this piece to indulge in a little bit too much solemnity in bits, where Janáček is just like, firing on all cylinders. But for the most part, it's a good performance. Then you've got Martinu's Field Mass, which is a masterpiece. It's a cantata for baritone and male chorus and chamber orchestra, a beautiful anti-war piece. It's tremendous and only about half an hour long, so that's always exciting to hear. And then on CD5, at last, the last one, Dvořák's In Nature's Realm, concert overture, Martinu's Fourth Symphony, which, as I pointed out, was something of a Sawallisch specialty, and he conducts it very well. And then Peter Eben, here's a real specialty number, the Prague Nocturne for Orchestra, Homage to Mozart, which is a big piece. What is it, 16 minutes or so? Yeah, and really well worth hearing. A fascinating concert, a beautiful concert of interesting music. So that's Sawallisch in Prague. I mean, that's what they give us, just 5 discs of choice, juicy stuff that I think, for the most part, show Sawallisch in excellent form, working with one of the world's great orchestras. This is fun. It's worth hearing for collectors and you other geeky people. Like I said when we just did the John Coleshaw box, previous video, collections for geeky collectors. This is another one of those. I mean, let's face it, you're not going to rush out and get this if you're only looking for individual recordings of this repertoire. It's a collector's item. But I think it shows Sawallisch in a very good light. And I'm always happy to see artists at their best and presenting themselves in the most positive way. And I'm very grateful to Supraphon for releasing this. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.